Therapists don't actually have to burn out, and they don't burn out because they don't care enough, right? That's not why we burn out. They burn out because the systems that we work in are never designed to be sustainable. My name is Dr. Lauren Lawson. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist in California and Pennsylvania, and I am an AA MFT approved clinical supervisor. And I've been running my own nonprofit group practice for 13 years. I supervise and oversee licensed clinicians, associates, and interns and practicum students. It's been quite a journey, and what I like to do is share that this is an option for other therapists out there and teach you about the method that I did, except that I DIY'd it for many years, and I have learned along the way the best way and the right way to set it up. So I teach you all that so you don't have to go through what I went through back then when I started the nonprofit. So again, back to our training topic today, the 3 pathways from burned out therapist to sustainable nonprofit founder. Therapists don't actually have to burn out, and they don't burn out because they don't care enough, right? That's not why we burn out. They burn out because the systems that we work in are never designed to be sustainable. And we're kind of stuck with that system, right? We can try to make the changes that we want on a systemic level, but we have to work within the system that is right now, today, operating as it is. So I hear this all the time. I know I'm meant for more than agency burnout, but I don't know what that more looks like or how to do it. So today I want to give you something that most therapists never get when they're thinking about that, and that is clarity. So by the end of this training, you'll have a better understanding of like the 3 different real pathways therapists take to build sustainable nonprofit group practices and how to know which one fits your current situation and your current season of being a therapist. So here's the real problem. Most therapists think that they have a path problem, but what they actually have is a sequence problem. So what I mean by that, they assume that starting a nonprofit is a single leap, a dramatic decision that requires quitting their job, losing income, or starting over from scratch. But that is a myth. A nonprofit is not a vow of poverty or learning low income. It is a structure. And when you choose the right entry point into that structure, building a nonprofit becomes strategic instead of overwhelming. So that's really what I want to show everybody today. So who is this for? In my work, I see essentially the same 3 starting points over and over again. They're not personalities, they're positions, what position you have as a therapist. So listen to where you're at in these positions, not where you think you're supposed to be. So the first position is Marcus. Marcus is a burned out clinician. He loves the work, but he hates the system. Jennifer is a practice owner. She's financially stable, but she's impact limited in her practice. And then we have Rachel. She's a visionary therapist. She has a clear calling, but she's just unsure how to build it sustainably. So think about who you are. Are you Marcus? Are you Jennifer? Or are you Rachel? So let's be crystal clear before we go further. All 3 of these pathways lead to starting a nonprofit. The difference is how you start and not where you end up. So think of them as 3 different on-ramps in the same destination. And the destination is a sustainable, mission-driven nonprofit that doesn't burn you out. That's what we're trying to create here, right? So let's kind of dive into these pathways so you can see it a little bit clearer. Pathway 1 is from system to nonprofit. This is Marcus's pathway. So if you're a Marcus, this is for you. This pathway is for therapists who are burned out, but not yet in a position to leap. Marcus does not need to quit his job and start a nonprofit tomorrow. Instead, he needs to start by stabilizing his workload, reducing emotional and clinical overload, stepping into leadership or program design, and identifying unmet needs inside the system that he already understands. And this is actually where I was. I was a Marcus when I started. I was trying to stabilize my workload, trying to step into leadership, have an opportunity to lead programs, and I was not in a position to just quit my day job, right? So what Marcus needs to do is begin testing solutions, and under the nonprofit that he starts, without doing it full time, do some pilot programs, do some specialized groups, community partnerships, some outcome driven services. And over time, these programs become the foundation for a nonprofit that can operate outside of the agency work that he's in. And so this pathway can lead to a solo founder nonprofit, or for me, it was a group practice nonprofit, but it's built from system experience, having done it, structured intentionally, and designed so the founder is not the primary labor forever, right? So this is how Marcus can build a nonprofit without risking his livelihood first, which is true for many of us, right? But not everybody is a Marcus, because not everybody is still in community mental health and fed up with the system, even though they like the work. So that leads us to pathway 2. This is where you already have your practice, and how do you get it to a nonprofit, right? So this is Jennifer's pathway. So this pathway is for therapists who already have the financial stability or already have the practice stability, but they feel capped in that, right? Jennifer doesn't choose between her practice or a nonprofit. She uses her practice as income stability, proof of demand, and an ecosystem builder that's already there. So she starts by asking, what impact can't my practice make, but my nonprofit could, right? So that might look like community programs, preventative services, access to treatment models that maybe clients can't afford. And so partnerships or fundraising that extend beyond insurance and private pay. That's really right now what her practice can't do, is extend beyond those two things. So the practice ends up supporting the nonprofit, and it's not emotionally, but more structurally. So this pathway leads to a staff supported nonprofit. It could be a group based or community model. I have lots of people that do that. It could still be a regular outpatient model, or a nonprofit that eventually operates independently from the practice. It's really up to Jennifer how she decides to do this. She can either transition her practice into the nonprofit, or have a nonprofit that operates separately from her current practice. Totally up to her in deciding what she wants to do. But this is how Jennifer expands the impact without collapsing the business she already built. You can keep both, turn it into one, or separate it into two, and still expand the impact, right? That's the whole goal. And then we have pathway 3. So this is more of like direct to nonprofit. This is Rachel's pathway. This is the pathway for the therapists who already know that they're here to like build the thing, right? They're ready to do it. She doesn't need convincing that this is what she wants, and she needs the structure. And so she starts directly with the nonprofit and not with all the other chaos, right? She begins with a clear mission, one focused program to start out, one defined audience, and a revenue model that does not rely on her burning out. So she designed a founder role centered on leadership, vision, partnerships, and sustainability. And you can be a Jennifer or a Marcus and also be a little bit of a Rachel, right? So this pathway can be a solo founder, it can be a co-founder, it could be a group of people that want to do this, and it's often the cleanest path, but only when you already have the clarity there and you know that you want to do this and you can make the leap and do it right away. Otherwise, you might be a mix of a Rachel or Jennifer. But here's a mistake that therapists often make. They think that starting the nonprofit is about courage or confidence. And yes, that's there, but it's also not about that. It's about really choosing the right starting structure. Structure is everything when you're building a nonprofit right the first way. So when therapists often enter through the wrong pathway, which I do see quite a bit, they recreate for themselves burnout, financial stress, and resentment. And it's just under a different title. So that's what we're trying to avoid. I'm not trying to just, sell you or teach you something. That's the same thing you've already been doing. We really want to look at a different pathway and a different structure for it to make sense for you. So the question isn't, should I start a nonprofit? The question really is, which on ramp fits my current season as a therapist? Am I pathway 1, which is the burned out, under resourced therapist? Am I pathway 2, the stable but impact limited practice? Or pathway 3, this is already clear to me, I'm already called to do this, and I'm ready to go. The roads all lead to a nonprofit, but the wrong sequence is what ends up causing burnout. So if you don't want to guess your next step, I have some resources that can help. First thing is go under the guide section in this group. There's 2 different guides that I have, and you have to open them up. The guides are, one is live training classes. I have over 40 live trainings in there, and sometimes people just don't know where to go to find them. You can scroll all the way down to the bottom and see the ones that I've done from the beginning, and you can watch them live. And I also have lots of free handouts and PDFs on all the different intricacies of each of these pathways. So I want you to think about which pathway matches who you are right now and think about, okay, now that I know my pathway, what's the best way to start my nonprofit and to get it structurally and strategically set up? I really don't believe that therapists need to be martyrs to make a difference. I don't believe we need to sacrifice our income for that. And you don't need more passion. You already have plenty of that. It's about doing it the right way and choosing the right pathway. And I truly believe that clarity changes everything in this. And if you already know your pathway and you're ready to start building this, then I want to encourage you to book a free 45-minute strategy call with me. There's no obligation to buy anything, but essentially, what we do on those calls is talk about, okay, which therapist do you identify with the most? Are you a Marcus, a Jennifer, or Rachel? And where are you getting stuck? And we can show you how to get there. And if that's through one of our programs, great. If that's something you want to do on your own, totally fine. We'll kind of point you in the right direction. If you're interested in our services, then what we have is really two different ones that apply. I have my full Thriving Impact coaching program. You either get this with coaching or without coaching. So it's either a or a self-study with coaching. This is like the full roundabout thing that you need to run a nonprofit sustainably for years. Or if you're like, I really don't have the time and I know I want to do this, I just want someone to set up the pathway for me correctly, then you can do my Done For You package. I have lots of people who do that and it's super fun and really successful. And we can actually get your nonprofit structurally set up in about a month. And then you get to decide the transition period from there. But otherwise, I hope this was helpful in providing you some clarity on really making sure you understand where you're at currently in your season of being a therapist and what pathway makes the most sense for you to get your nonprofit off the ground.